I guess we'll just move into right away the Switch Pro talk, because it's back in the news. We've been talking about Switch Pro. How long have we been talking about Switch Pro for?
6 years.
7
years.
84
The Wii U one.
Yeah. Before the Switch came out, right? We were talking about it. There was a lot of build up to even when the Switch was coming out about different things happening at the factory. Then after that, I know we had reports come back. I feel like has it been Bloomberg this whole time, or has it been Wall Street Journal as well right next to him? Because I feel like Bloomberg's been bringing it up more than anyone else over the last 3 years. But anyway, the last report seems to be placing this new Switch, the Switch revision, as something that would be announced ahead of E3, whereas before I didn't think we'd see anything about it until after E3 anyway, and Nintendo would get closer to when they'd potentially be releasing it to announce it and have like we talked about this at length before, a 1 to 2 1 to 2 month run up, and then they release it. But things appear to have maybe changed a bit planning wise, and now it looks like they're going to announce it, or a third party is going to announce it, or something. This is what it sounds like, the way it's being described by Bloomberg.
A lot has changed, and I mean, especially the release date, it's far sooner than I was anticipating based on the information I was receiving. And the big change is basically there are a few third parties who really want to announce their games at E3, and they cannot do this unless the Pro is announced. And that is why we're going to see the Pro announced within the next 2 weeks. We will then see select Pro games showcased over the course of E3 from third parties, and I would assume Nintendo will also have something to show off from first party efforts.
Oh,
that's the reason it's happening now, is certain developers want to show pro enhanced games for the Switch, and the only way you can do that is to actually announce the hardware.
So they're kind of basically they're forced to do it, essentially, is what you're saying.
Essentially, they are forced, but it's an odd situation, only because of the third-party games I am aware of that will be at E3 and have Pro versions shown. Mm-hmm. These games are not Pro exclusive. So these are games that will be coming to the standard Switch.
What are the games?
Yeah, I'm not saying that right now.
Why? I actually heard. I heard one game.
You can't lick the tip and then walk away.
MVG and I have a podcast coming out very soon, and you get more information there.
I do know of one game that
is it Genshin?
No, I know of one game. It's actually called Balan Wonderworld. it's an RGT 85 exclusive. You're gonna get it first, bro.
You think? All right. So you said you think Nintendo might even show a game there that's going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I'm sure Nintendo will have something on display so they can, demonstrate the strengths of the platform.
Well, even if it's
third parties will be probably the main focus. It seems, at least right now, they're the reason it's happening.
Right. Yes, that's basically okay. Yeah, I wonder when this all kind of came about with Nintendo. Like they had to have realized that they might want to show their games off at E3. Is it because E3 kind of was getting thrown together? Like, I don't want to say last minute, but it seemed to be more spur of the moment with E3 than it normally would be every year. Do you think maybe that had something to play into it? And they're like, whoa, okay, there's actually some like interest in E3, because I think there's been some pent up demand for it to return and have another show, and maybe developers and publishers are like, can we talk about this here, because there's a lot of people are going to be watching this.
One of the games, from my understanding, was they've only basically got to the game to the point where they want to announce it now very recently. So this could have been one of the decisions of why this was rushed. And the conversations I was having this week, there's still a lot of uncertainty from conversations I'm having. Those who are certain about it are only certain about it because they're saying, well, yeah, our games that are Pro enhanced are going to be at E3. It's like, okay, that's what's giving me the confidence to say before E3 starts, the Pro will be announced. Now, I don't know the exact day. It's anytime between now and in 2 weeks.
I think everyone's trying to basically guess. Like I was like, okay, well, I mean, we kind of figured it wasn't going to be on Thursday. There was a lot of talk that it might be on like Thursday or Friday, but once you brought up, and it kind of reminded me, I was like, oh yeah, it's Memorial Day weekend. Nintendo America, they're not going to announce it. Nintendo America is not there to field a lot of questions that are obviously going to come in.
It was like Thursday. I could have seen the announcement take place only because like it was pure hunch. And I know people saw like the banter on Twitter between like Emily Rogers and myself, where I just said, pure gut speculation, and somehow people took that to be like, oh, it's a tease. Like, I didn't know how saying here's a pure hunch can be taken as a tease.
No, because even you had what's his face, Jason Schreier saying, "Oh, I think it could potentially," it wasn't like you were the only person saying.
Yeah, like on my end, it was the article dropped Wednesday night, and if you're going to say in the article it's imminent, you basically positioned this article to preempt the announcement taking place. So it's like they must have some sort of idea that this is happening in the very immediate future. So they wanted to beat it by 12 or 24 hours. Obviously, nothing happened. And that makes me kind of wonder of, let's say it's coming this week, or even if it's coming the week after. Could have held this article then for another few days. What was the rush to get it out that Wednesday? And that's why my hunch was that it could have happened on Thursday, but with Nintendo of America being closed on Friday, Memorial Day weekend, and I've seen people say, well, why can't they announce it? Why does the industry have to shut down for an American holiday? Well, it doesn't. If they really wanted to announce it, they could announce it Sunday at midnight because Japan's going to be open for business on Monday.
Sure.
It's mostly a logistics thing that they know Nintendo of America offices are going to get emails. You're going to have a lot of media inquiring about this, and you need someone at their computer, at office, at the ready to respond. So, it really is anytime the next 13 days. Will take place.
Yeah, I just put up like, a Tuesday or Wednesday, for example, this week coming up, just because this was on Friday. I think I recorded that video yesterday. I was like, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday they would do that. But you're right, it could be anytime. The reason I didn't think they'd want to wait until the week before E3, which that's really how far out it would be then if they decide not to do it this week coming up, is then there's going to also be I assume like a mad dash for all the information and stuff getting out there. Whereas if they do it this week coming up, they'll at least give a week buffer to make sure everything's settled.
I think it also depends on what information they want to relay in the official reveal of the Pro itself.
True.
Are they just going to say, here's the Switch Pro, here's a quick 45-second overview video that they're going to drop on Twitter with some quick details, and then say, on this day, when we have our E3 presser, we're going to further show it in some of the games that utilize this new hardware, or are we going to get the full-on reveal? Here's
like the Switch Lite.
Release
like the Switch
date.
Lite.
You do it like the
Right.
Switch Lite. You do it like the new 3DS XL. You don't lick the tip and walk away. I get to say that twice in this video now. You gotta come out and show it. I mean, because people are gonna analyze it anyways and figure out. No, I don't like that.
It's it's gonna be real interesting this week coming up, because basically, are we on just like Switch Pro Watch now? Is that what everyone's just basically doing online? Is just watching Nintendo of America every like hour or 2 hours that they tweet. So everyone's just like waiting for the scheduled tweet to go up now.
It seems to be what's going to be happening for the next 13 days is people are going to sit there waiting for Nintendo of America to put out a tweet at the top of the hour at some random hour. But I mean, just set notifications on and have it on your phone, and you'll get the notification when it takes place. There's no reason to sit at your computer anxiously for the next 1,000 hours.
Yeah, I'm sure your sub box will let you know what's happening too on YouTube. But the other thing was the idea, of course, of the exclusive games on the Switch Pro. It's I assume that's one of the things they would want to show at. That's why it's so pressing. It's not because like there's going to be a game there that won't work on the regular Switch is what I'm thinking.
I mean, on the titles I'm aware of, they're not Pro exclusive. They will be on the standard Switch. Okay. They just want to showcase the games in their best form.
They want to say 4K next to the Switch logo.
Basically, it's very similar to what we saw with the PlayStation 4 Pro or even the One X. They like to slap that icon in the corner saying PlayStation 4 Pro. So you say, wow, look at Horizon. I got to buy this I got to get a PlayStation 4 Pro so I can play it in that visual fidelity.
Yes. I do wonder if that would have a serious effect on kind of the view of third-party games on the Switch. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, it's 4K as well. All right, I guess I'll just get it on the Switch then.
So when are these games supposed to be coming out? Because it's not going to be this year, is it? Switch Pro games?
They can listen to the Nate the Hate podcast featuring MVG on Monday morning and get an answer to that question.
Well, why don't you give the viewers, the listeners, a preview of that?
Tease, if you will.
Give them a tease.
I think that's a good tease. How much tickling do I have to do?
No, licking.
You lick, I tickle. This episode is sponsored by Adam and Eve.
All right.
What happens if like this all E3 comes and goes and none of this happens, Nate?
Then Bloomberg, myself, Jason Schreier, we all got fed a very bad apple of information.
Also, a lot of OLED screens showed up at factory for some reason.
Yeah, that happened. A lot happened where developers, publishers, manufacturers are all sitting saying, what the hell happened? Like, I don't know.
People love OLED. OLED's great.
Okay, so
what's the OLED's coming out of nowhere?
The interesting thing is that
it's really for the Vita too.
Now we're talking 4D
3 a.m. announcement. All right, let's go.
It'll be dead in 2 years. Don't worry.
We also had that. There was that information that got out there, whether it's as correct. We don't know if it's correct until obviously that gets revealed. But there was talk about the dock being a bit different and having an Ethernet port, which would be the first time Nintendo would ever do that. Technically,
that sounded weird to me.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it strange that
when I saw Ethernet port, I'm like, this is. I don't even know if this is legit.
That sounds convenient. That can't be right.
That can't be right.
It is strange that we are into 2021 though, and Nintendo has never actually had that in a system natively. And technically, it still wouldn't natively be in the Switch because it'd be an accessory that the Switch plugs into. No, but yeah, they mentioned 4K, same Joy-Cons. No surprise there. Nintendo will stick with these Joy-Con. They might do like a silent revision maybe at some point, but I don't think they're going to get crazy and change things up too much with it. So do we have any guesses? Anyone want to take a guess as to when the Switch Pro gets announced? Oh, and what are we calling this thing? Are we sticking with Switch Pro, or do you think Nintendo's calling it something different?
I'm going to say new Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah, that seems pretty straightforward.
I'm going to say nothing because it's not real and you're all phonies and liars and you're all going to hell.
See, I don't disagree with Sean. Like I know he's mostly just messing around, but like there's a part of me that just feels like none of this is going to happen. Like, and I say that because and again, listen to the Nate the Hate show because Nate and I go pretty deep on this conversation. But I will let people know that as a Nintendo developer, I have asked around, and no one I've spoken to knows anything about this. Now that's not they're lying to you. No, I mean, you know, there's a difference between I'm under NDA and I can't say anything versus I don't know anything, right? But that's not to say this doesn't exist, but if it does, it's a very, very controlled and a very small group of people that are developing games for this thing right now.
Why did you ask Capcom? Ask Capcom. Because
I'm curious. Because I'm curious. Eurogamer apparently was able to corroborate the report as well. So technically, we have a source from Eurogamer. We have a source from. Bloomberg.
And John, that's the thing that got me. Like, I've always been, I think it's going to happen because Nintendo always does revisions, like with their anything that's like modular, portable. Like they've been doing this for like 30 years or something like that, or like 20 something years. So since back in the day. But Eurogamer is usually spot on. I got bodied last time that I went against them, so I kind of tend to believe what Eurogamer will say, and they seem very credible. So I don't want to go against Eurogamer again. You know,
who was it at Eurogamer? Oh, it was Tom Phillips.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Tom Phillips and Machizuki, basically.
I'm not discounting this info. But it also just feels a little off to me. There's something missing in this whole piece of the puzzle that we're not knowing about, and I don't know what that is yet. Like, sure, we may get a reveal of this at E3. It's probably going to happen, but is the system really going to come out in September this year? Is that accurate? Is it really going to be, $349 or $399? Like those types of things I have questions about. Like I feel like this is a 2022 system all day long personally, but I could be totally off on that.
Well, yeah, I think it could be then too. I just think that some people think that it's not real at all.
Okay, I thought I saw someone in the chat mention that they were sourcing. They say Nintendo's long-awaited Switch upgrade is expected to be shown ahead of E3 2021, according to a report published by Bloomberg today and Eurogamer's own sources.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay.
They're
So
using the Bloomberg
Yeah.
article as a jump off point, and they corroborated it with their own sources that they can back that information.
Okay. So with Tom Phillips, and we have Machizuki to go on here.
You could kind of throw Schreier in there too if he's. I mean, technically he's
Bloomberg.
Bloomberg. But
What about like Emily Rogers on Twitter as well?
people think she's phony, but I will never forget the time before the Switch was revealed, like the games and stuff, and there was that 4chan post that detailed like every game, and I made a tweet about it. I don't know, she might get mad at I say this, but she DM'd me and she was like, that 4chan post is 100% accurate, and I was like, fuck you, because they had like Ultra Street Fighter 2 the final challengers on there, and I'm like, there's no fucking way they're gonna do Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Switch. And then when that presentation happened, every single game was there, and I was like, wow. Never mind, I apologize, senpai.
She's gotten like she's gotten like a couple things wrong, but I will also say that, like I said, I'm not gonna say anything like more, but there was a time that she potentially said something before the Switch even launched, and she ended up being right on what she was saying, but so many other people were corroborating. But she had potentially put out some information that was right when people didn't know what the Switch was. Like, is it a portable? Is it a home console? She potentially put out information that was exactly what the Switch ended up being, even before Eurogamer confirmed it. So, I mean, like, you know, that's what I'll say on that. I mean, I'm not going to doubt, like,
I'll say this. I
think she's gone on some stuff.
Yeah, I have some confidence in Emily Rogers.
Yeah, I agree. I think usually when she makes tweets like this, you know, the info is pretty much airtight and it's good to go. So yeah, I think she's mostly accurate with, you know,
The thing is, nobody has a
stuff.
fucking 100% track record at the end of the day. So
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I do. Hey, never mind. No, I don't.
I think it could be a pretty fun road to E3 then, I guess, in the next week and a half. E3's so close.
Dude,
Jeez.
I just want them to announce this thing.
I think we all do.
I'm just
right?
sick of talking about it, honestly.
No,
I mean,
no. We're going to be talking about it a lot.
No, you're
more
going to
after
talk
this.
about it more.
I want to make more videos, but I want to make videos on the tech side, like once we actually figure out what the system is going to be. So I don't want to make more videos on, you know, rumors and Bloomberg reports and stuff like that. I just want this thing to get
You
announced.
just want to get announced so we can look at it. We can talk about the actual device
Analyze
itself,
it.
and then eventually buy it in apparently September.
So are they going to do shit like, you know, make Breath of the Wild 60 frames on this thing?
I like the idea of them revisiting some of these old games, and like I like that a lot. That'd be
Like,
really
they
cool.
should. Like, I think that would be a smart move, because if like you said, Nintendo themselves, oh shit, I just trapped myself. If Nintendo themselves doesn't really have any, you know, games ready to go with it, like that's sort of incentive for people. Like, hey,
Well, I mean, that's going to be the thing.
yeah.
Is Nintendo will have games that will take advantage of the system. But when you think of, you know, a game to take advantage of it, if you have a brand new 2D Metroid game, is that really the graphical showcase you want of this brand new Switch? No, you want something more demanding. You want something bigger. And that's where it's going to be a case of, and I've seen it a lot online. People say, oh, well, if this is coming in September, it means Breath of the Wild 2 must be September. No, it doesn't.
no.
These two do not have to correlate. They can be completely separate entities, and you should treat them as such. Breath of the Wild 2 is not going to have an E3 showing and only have a 3-month marketing cycle, while Skyward Sword, which was unveiled in February, would get a 5-month marketing cycle. Breath of the Wild 2 will have a meaningful and substantial marketing cycle leading up to release. Nobody should be anticipating Breath of the Wild 2 to potentially launch with this in September if the system does, in fact, make a September launch. And based on the information that Bloomberg was reporting, they don't have an exact date in mind based on their information, even their production. They hope it begins in July. The earliest is September, possibly October. Well, September 1st to October 31st, that's a lot of days.
Yeah,
That's a huge swing. That's not just, you know, a week time frame. We're talking 2 months difference.
I kind of feel like they know their developers that are going to want to talk about it at E3, and maybe they've been given the green light, so they just assume, okay, that means Nintendo's going to be announcing this thing then. So
Yes.
now we're just basically like, okay, well, they're going to announce it before E3, so at some point in the next week and a half, they're going to drop a video online.
Mm-hmm.
Which comes out first, though? The Switch Pro or the Sega Spartan?
I mean, do you think the Sega Spartan tries to jump the Switch Pro with like a pre-E3 reveal?
They could. You throw the Amico in there as well. You got a fucking dogfight going on.
Hey, that Amico getting some games.
Okay, so once again, is it this week? MVG already said new Nintendo Switch, and you said it. Wait, when did you say it's getting announced, MVG?
I didn't say anything.
He didn't know, or did you? Everyone, Teresa Eric, quickly make the post.
Switch developer says
new Nintendo Switch probably announced next week. If it doesn't, I mean, is it a big surprise? Probably not. But I mean, I think the info is good that we'll hear about it before E3, especially to Nate's point. If there are games that are ready to be showcased at E3. It does make sense that they would announce the hardware before E3. So I think, the info is good, and we'll see how it plays out,